Arne, thank you so much. Congratulations on the victory. We will talk about the football, but it's important that we get your thoughts on the report that Antoine Semenyo gave to the officials alleging racist abuse. What was said over on the benches? And I know you made a point of going over to speak to Semenyo at the end of the game.
Yeah. No, I think the club made a clear statement. We don't want this in football. We don't want this in a stadium to happen. But especially not at Anfield. So we should talk about that. We should talk about maybe that for a long time, because it's unacceptable that something happens like this in a stadium, let alone at Anfield. And that unfortunately gets the shine off. I don't know if that's really good English, but because our fans were unbelievable when you talk about the tribute for Diogo. So, but what happened over there is definitely, I didn't hear it. I only can say that that this should definitely not happen in a stadium.
And the club, as you say, have put out a statement saying that they condemn abuse in any form. And I know that it's with the police, so there's a limit to what can now be said.
Yeah.
As you said, that we could have been talking about a fantastic game, and we will talk about what was a fantastic game. You take all 3 points from it. Were you happy with everything that you saw out there?
I think it was a great game to watch, and this is why football. This is what football makes so great. 3 parties involved that wanted to play a very nice game. Us, Bournemouth, and the referee. So high tempo, no time wasting, no diving. Just keep on playing. This is what football makes so nice. 2-0 up, going 2-2, because they just kept on going after 2-0 down. It's a big compliment for them not to give up, but just keep on fighting. And then we did the same after we conceded the 2-2. And not only we, our fans were at that moment of time. And even before the game, when during the "You Never Walk Alone" and the tribute for Diogo, the banner they had, it altogether it should be about that. But the game of football was also impressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, very impressive game of football. Was you always convinced that Liverpool were going to take 3 points from that game?
No, because we played them last season here when we were 3-0 up. They just kept on going. They were in every stat, running stat, very high last season, and you could see today again. We, by the way, as well, but you could see today again how fit this team we faced was and never gave up. Because you can talk about rest defense, but I think the moment we lost the ball in both situations, the rest defense was in order. But the pace they have, the tempo they sprinted all the way, it was a 4v2, I think, on this side. That's also credits to them. But like I said, they faced a team that's really fit as well and never gives up. We've lost many players during the summer, but we didn't lose our mentality.
I'm really interested in that point, because I've heard you make it in almost every interview that you've given, because you're asked so often about the players who've come in, but you're always at pains to emphasise the players who've gone over the summer.
Not always, because it's only the second day I have an interview, I think.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
But yeah, everybody is asking me the same question. Yeah, you have a lot of new players. Yeah, reality is we've lost a lot of players as well. I think we even lost more than we got. But it's normal if you bring such a talented players in. And you've already won the league last season, that everybody's talking about that. But yeah, if you normally, when it was 2-2, I think these two know which player I was looking at that moment of time. I would have loved to bring Diogo Jota in, but now I couldn't for terrible reasons. But now the fans and the players that were still there did what he did so many times for us in the past.
And I can ask you just mentioned rest defence there, and it's been a problem in the pre-season, in the Community Shield, and here today. I think what stood out for me watching your Liverpool team last season was how much control you had in games, and I very rarely saw end-to-end games. I feel like I'm seeing that today and in the Community Shield. Is that a worry for you? Because there's a lot of attacking talent on the pitch now that maybe wasn't there as much last season.
Not that we bring more bodies in front of the ball, maybe, but we do have players that are looking maybe for a final pass or a difficult solution in the end phase of an attack a little bit more, because they also have these passes than we had last season. And probably, I'm not talking about a player we lost, but I do talk about a player that was not available last week and not this week, and that's Ryan Gravenberch, who was last season very, very important in these moments as well. So with McAllister only being back 2 or 3 weeks in pre-season, we lost a little bit of that control in our midfield. But yeah, Ryan will be back next week and Maka will be fitter again. And we need to find a better balance in taking the risk, because against Palace we've lost 2 or 3 simple balls that led to counter-attacks. Where here we lost in the 2-1, we lost the ball with a trick as well, where Dominic wanted to do a trick.
Could you believe what you were seeing? I mean, I was up on commentary, maybe even got a better view than yourself. I think there was 7 or 8 players in the box when the score was a 2-1. Are you sort of encouraging that, or would you be furious with that?
No, depends on where the players of the opposition are. If they are standing over here at the halfway line, it would be stupid for us to be there with 7. But if they go with all players back in their own 18-yard box, we need to have a rest defense in order to be close and to them there as well. I think if you, I don't know if we can show this, but if you stop the play the moment Mo loses the ball, there's not such a big problem. I think the rest defense is in order. But then they just came with 3 or 4 out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, out of their own 18-yard box. And
Arne, we've got it for you.
Yeah. So if you look at this moment now, if you stop. Yeah, you can stop it, but
a little bit earlier.
Can we take it back?
Yeah.
But Arne, we're 2 defensive players, 2 full-backs. Just take it back a little bit further, if we can. A little bit further.
We used to play like this, actually.
No, it's fine. No, what I'm saying is, I don't like the fact that Liverpool's too fed and inside run. Andy Robinson's in the box. That to me feels too much on the front foot.
Depends on where their players are. And if I see it now and I see where Semenyo is, then you could argue if Robbo should be this high for stop. For me, Robbo should be where Semenyo is. And you can argue if all of our midfielders should go inside the 18-yard box now. But that's also who we were and who we are, and that's also why you see such a nice game if you watch Liverpool, because we're not going to go to a low block and defend. Stop. You see, we are in 2v1 behind the ball, and you see players from us sprinting back as well. But give credits to Semenyo.
Anna, can I just say that worries me a little bit?
What?
When you say that's the team that we are, with so many bodies going forward. Am I allowed to say that? Sorry, boss.
No, you're allowed to say this. But then you need to support a team that's going to play with 11 players in their own box. I prefer to see this. But I prefer even more to see not being counter-attacked. That I agree on. But I like it that our players like to play football. And I think last season we were a joy to watch. Like, for example, Paris Saint-Germain, who do similar things like this.
Arne, to be honest with you, I think it's a breath of fresh air in the sense of how I see the game should be played. It's how we used to play. I quite often last year said that football was becoming quite formulaic, where players weren't free. It felt like they were being sort of like coached like robots to say, you must pass it here, you must pass it there. So when I see that tonight, I feel like that's really exciting. Obviously, sometimes you will concede goals doing that. Is this how you're going to play for the rest of the season? Because I think that it's going to be thrilling to watch Liverpool if it is.
Yeah, we will try. Although we want to do better in the transition moments, of course. But it's also then, if Mo would have had a shot on goal that went over or a corner kick, is not a problem. So where do you lose a ball is crucial as well. The moment how Dominic Szoboszlai lost the ball with a trick, that is not smart in that moment of time. But we will fine-tune even more these counter-attacks, hopefully. But we will work on that definitely. But we do want to stay the team that is a joy to watch offensively, and we're not a team, if we're 2-0 up, we're going to go with 10 men in our own box. That's not who we are.
You substituted both your fullbacks, Chiesa and Frimpong. What was you just thinking behind that at that moment in the game?
I'm looking for the English word, but that wasn't out of luxury. That was because Jeremy Frimpong felt his hamstring at half-time and made a lot of sprints.
He was doing quite well, wasn't he?
He was doing quite well, but the other fullback, Conor Bradley, is already injured with a hamstring injury, so you don't want to take the risk of another fullback, lose another fullback. Then you could argue, why don't you play Joe Gomez there? But I just said he only had 2 sessions in pre-season, so he wasn't able to play half an hour, so we started with Wata, and our left fullback, Milos Kerkez, is a player that I think the fans like, because in every duel he goes all in. But when you have a yellow card already and you play Semenyo, that's kind of a risk. Yeah. And if you have Robertson as a backup, then that was the reason for those two. And Hugo Ekitike came later in pre-season, has to adapt from. I think I can say that Liverpool is a bit better club than Frankfurt. And the league is probably more intense as well. So for him to be able to play 70 is already a big bonus after being 2-3 weeks here. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment, because we lost some players.
You need more players, Arne.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So does that mean there's more to come in the transfer window?
I'm not saying we need more. I'm only saying that everybody's only talking they added. No, we didn't add. Till now, we only replaced. And you never know what's going to happen in the window. We do already signed one with Leone.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
Arne, I will say, when we came here this evening, I didn't think you'd get support from this corner and criticism from that corner.
It's not
but
criticism,
that's the way.
it's constructive.
Kelly, he played under Rafa Benitez. He had 4 defenders that never moved. He had 4 midfield players that never moved. He had 8 behind the ball every week.
And won the most famous Champions League final of all time.
Listen,
And I spoke to Benitez, and he said that's only because of Jamie, because he has to play in big spaces. He has a problem.
Arne, listen, we really appreciate you coming out. Thank you very much.
welcome.
Congratulations on the victory. Thank you. And it is job done as far as getting the result is concerned. Whether you two have concerns about Jamie, how the setup is and how that might look as the